Hey, Guy 1948 here. This is my Stihl FS111RX. We'll be doing a fairly full review on it. So far, I have things I like and things I don't like about it. The Stihl FS111RX has a displacement of 31.4 cc that makes 1.4 horsepower at 9,500 RPM. The head has a max RPM of 7,150. The fuel used is a 50-to-1 mix made by Stihl, as seen here, the HP Ultra. The engine is a 4-stroke that has valves that can be accessed using this tool provided by Stihl. You have one Torx bit right here. Removing that will not only give you access to the spark plug, which is a Bosch USR 7AC with a points gap of 20 thousandths, but access to the valves, which you are supposed to service every 150 hours. I have not had this off here, and I really don't know if I should take it off, but we will do it for the video just to show. You have a crush washer, and the bolt has a little bit of Loctite. And underneath that cover are your valves. These are to be adjusted every 150 hours, or when the engine starts getting hard to pull. To reassemble the cover, you have two little hooks. They hook in there, like so, and then tighten your screw down. Goes. Good twist. She's good and tight. Now we'll try starting it. Press the primer bulb about 5 times, or 6, or however many I did. Come up here and turn the choke on, push in, and twist. Now the choke is controlled with the throttle control here. As you pull in on it, it will disengage the choke. This here has a momentary stop switch, so when you push that button, it will kill it. Otherwise, it is ready to start. Make sure your choke is on. You've primed your primer. And give her a couple pulls and see if she starts. This is not looking good for this thing. Maybe I just need to shut the choke off. Sometimes it does not need the choke. It's something I've been learning as I run it. A lot of the times I don't turn it on. You can see, once you get it started, it runs fairly well. And to kill it, just push the button, and it will shut off. The fuel tank is quite large at 24 ounces, but I do have a concern about this. I have had multiple times where I've gone to open it, and it's been pressurized. And this thing is kind of hard to open again after you see that. Caught it on camera. So if that has a hot engine and you're spraying gas all over, that's not ideal. So not only is it quite tight and difficult to unhook, but it also is pressurized. So making a slow turn with it is kind of tricky with this thing to let the air out. But for the most part, yeah, it's not ideal the way they have that set up. It'd be nice if there was like some sort of button you could push to let the pressure off, or something in there figured out, because this is Of all the weed eaters I've had, this is the worst one for pressurizing the tank. I don't much appreciate taking a gas shower right before I'm about to run a piece of machinery. The air filter can also be accessed by using the tool provided by Stihl. Right here on the side you have 2 screws with Torx heads. As you can see, we have a little bit of grass in there, but it's doing its job for the most part. See, look at all the stuff it's caught. I'll go blow that out and we'll put it back in. Here is the inside of that cover. While we are back here, you can also see your adjustment screws. Your high is on the left, your low is on the right, but you need a special tool to get down in there. This here is for your idle mixture, and you can control it with your screwdriver. All 3 have a hole in the back and are clearly labeled. I can't say I'm a huge fan of this requiring a tool to get into your air filter. I like just having a wing nut on there, but I do get it. I have had the wing nuts come back off and disappear on other weed eaters before, so I guess this makes sense. It's just a bit more of a pain. You have a safety switch up top, which you have to have pressed in order to pull the trigger. Otherwise, you can't pull the trigger. I thought this trigger would be awful weak and easy to break. It looks kind of chintzy, but it seems to be holding up fairly well so far. This does come with a strap. It is not ideal for me. I am too tall for it. I am about 6'6", 6'7", and it just goes in like that. I have it adjusted all the way out as far as I can get it because there's a loop here. So, and it's just a little too short for me, which really stinks. I just can't get a position where I am very comfortable with it, so I generally don't run this. And that leads me into my biggest gripe on this thing. And that's just the overall weight of this thing. I mean, it's 11 pounds, but it's a big engine, and I knew that going into it. It's just when you're carrying this around, and this is the lighter version. This here is, I think, 1.5 pounds lighter than the standard R version. And the standard R version gives you a steel shaft. This here has a hollow tube in it. And the steel shaft means that you can run a brush cutter attachment. An RX is just not set up to do it. The head is lighter, the shaft is lighter. It's just, the engine is the same, but it's just not set up to do it. So it is the lighter weight version, which is fine. Just if you are going to be out there carrying this for, most of my mowing jobs are between a half hour on to almost an hour. You know, carrying this thing around, you start to feel it after a while. So it's kind of the least favorite part is the weed eating, but this thing has tons of power. It will take down some pretty heavy stuff. We will demonstrate that here. I've been letting my yard grow up some so we'd have something to demonstrate this with, and we'll be getting to that here in a moment. But first we need to move on to the head, because that is another complaint I had about this machine. The head for this, it is an auto cut 25-2, and it is just a pain to reload. As you can see, you're supposed to push in on these, pop it out. It's one of those deals where you pre-measure so much line and send it through, wrap it up. It's supposed to be easy, but in all honesty, it's kind of a pain, because when you get to this step, everything's got to be tight and you click it in there. But in the first place, you basically have to carry a tool around with you to open this thing, because getting these to press in is quite, I don't even know if I can do it, a chore. There we go. Yeah, mess up your nails. You gotta have small fingers to get down in there good. It pops it out, and then the string explodes, goes every which way. So yeah, any other weed eater, which I've always hated this design where you hook it in here and then you got to wrap it around a bunch, and then you hook it up in one of these, and hopefully your string will fit in one of these, and it doesn't really fit because I don't have the right size string apparently. But this is some 105 Weed Warrior, which if you were watching my last video you would think I wouldn't buy anything with the name brand Warrior on it. But I bought this a long time ago. Actually, it's 200 feet. That's all that's left of the roll. All of that's been run through this so far, and it's done quite well with it. I haven't had any complaints with it's how it runs. I've had some complaints with how this head runs, because it seems to just keep letting string out, and it doesn't last very long, and then it's a pain. I do not like it. So what did I get? I got a knockoff Echo Speed Feed head for this. The Stihl comes with a little steel dowel pin that you can put in here, just like you would a grinder. There's a hole here. You'll set that down, you line it up, then you turn it counterclockwise, and you can unscrew this head. Just like that. Easy. Same thing with putting it on, just reverse thread, providing it wants to start. Tighten her up. So don't throw this away. You'll need it at some point, probably. So, what's so easy about this? You have to click these around until they hit the certain spot where you can see all the way through. It does come apart much like the Stihl. You have bigger buttons you can push in and it'll come apart. But the video is not really about that. But we're just going to go into this a little bit because I recommend it. You take this head and you twist it until you can see daylight through. You take your line, and you can do this off the weed eater too. You can unscrew this if you want to take it off, but it's easy enough while it's on there. And you send this straight on through. It is a bit of a trick sometimes to get it to go straight through. Even harder when you're off camera and not really looking at it. And you try to get an equal amount of line on both sides, roughly. I don't like that. I have too much here, I do believe. And then you just twist. And it does a pretty good job. If you put too much in there, it will mess it up, and you have to take it apart by pushing in on both of these catches here, and then it comes apart just like the other head, except this here is just such a better idea. I think we're going to call that good. I'll just cut that little excess off. We'll call that good. Another reason not to lose that dowel pin, this little piece here is the spacer that goes up in here. And it had a ring of grass around it. So it's a good idea to take that off, take your head off and clean that grass out every now and then. As you can see, there are two little notches here. And this little extended part goes down. But the little notches line up with this dowel pin, and that's what holds this into place and locks it up. So now with all that in place, we can start threading this back on. Remember, it's backwards of what you'd normally do. Okay, pull your pin out, and you are set and ready to go. Oh, did I say you're ready? You may, if you're around 25 hours, have to come up here and take this bolt out. And put grease in it, because this here requires grease every so often. As you can see, there is grease in here. So we are good. I haven't put 25 hours on this, I don't think. I don't believe, but then again, it's hard to tell. There is grease in there, so we're not going to worry about it at this time. But definitely keep an eye on that and put grease in it. That way you can keep the longevity of this gearbox good. The head on this is set up to be 16.5 inches. I wouldn't remove the head because that just kills the engine quicker. It's trying to do more than it can handle. So what did this nice little machine cost me? Well, here you go. It was $379.99. It came with a $17.94 pack of, it was a 6-pack of the ultra synthetic oil, which I have been burning through quite a bit of. And by the time we got tax on it of $32.83, we come to $430.76. So what all are you getting for that price? You get the machine, you get a strap, they give you a set of safety glasses, you get a Stihl branded screwdriver. Ooh, Stihl. You get a dowel pin. And probably the most important thing, this tool, which has your spark plug wrench and your main tool, your Torx bit for getting into everything. Especially your air filter. So, and you get a manual. And a head, which I cannot recommend at all. And it came with a little bit of steel string, which was okay. It was some orange round stuff, and I like the twisted line a little bit better myself. I feel that it does better on what I'm cutting. There is one more gripe I have about this. It is almost too powerful for some jobs. If you have delicate work, if you're up around siding, if you're trying to get around plants or little trees that are coming up, if this thing hooks on the end of that, it will just rip that tree out of the ground. It will just cut it down. It will damage the siding. So I find myself doing this a lot with the trigger, because it's hard to find a spot that it really wants to be happy with, that you can just keep going with it at. You kind of have to feather it on and off to really do some delicate work. Now I recommend, instead of using these, if this is all you have, use this. Wear this. This thing will mess you up. I cannot stress safety enough on this thing. Get a set of these. These are Hart. They were advertised as sprayer goggles, but they work great for keeping stuff off your eyes. Yeah, they get dirty and they're kind of hard to keep clean, and you sweat a little bit around them. But I will tell you what, I will take a little sweat around the face over losing an eye, because my eyes are not great to start with. And yeah, because this thing, if it throws a rock, I've had it hit like down here beneath my face, and it hurts. I'd hate for that. I've had things hit the lens on this, and it's held up fairly well. I run this one, I'm running the 0 turn, because that thing will throw rocks up on me with the guard up, and this thing throws rocks really bad too. So definitely invest in this, and a set of headphones, earmuffs, even just to stuff some cotton in your ears. It's going to do better than you having your ears exposed, because my hearing is not very good to start with, and running stuff like this for years, it has definitely gotten worse. So I highly recommend hearing protection. I throw this in all my vehicles, just so if I'm somewhere I can just grab and go, you know, if I'm running with something loud. I know, everybody hates the safety speech, but if this throws something and it hits you in the eye, you're going to have a bad time. Now, we'll fire it up and we'll go do some weed eating. I will mention they make a double-handled version of this that has like a full body strap, and I thought about getting that, and that might work a little bit better for me, but because the handles are up a little higher. But I went with this because if I'm working with someone, they can just pick this up and go. There's no adjusting a big harness. It seems like a lot more hassle than it's worth. I mean, a hassle to me, that is. Now, we'll fire this up. I don't think we're going to need any choke. As we saw earlier, it didn't like the choke. It's going to make a liar out of me. Ready? Yep, frame. Like I say, it does good work. Try some heavier stuff. I haven't bumped it once yet. It's got that much string. information there. As you can see, it does a really good job. Tons of power. It only really bogged down in this section here, and this was some really thick stuff. So, do I recommend it? Yeah, for the price, it's pretty good. I'm sure if you're a small homeowner and you're not doing a bunch of work, you know, weed eater, you can probably get away with an electric one. Because honestly, my dad has a Hart, same name brand as my goggles over there, and it is really good. It does what he needs to do, and he actually lives in the country. He just had to buy a second battery, and it has tons of power. It was one of the 40-volt ones. So I do recommend the Stihl, though, if you are getting into lawn care. It seems to be fairly good, but you got to factor in your price versus what you want to get out of it. Much like that bad boy I bought, that there's kind of a residential. This here's kind of more in the commercial, or is commercial. Just my biggest gripe on it is the head, the weight, and honestly the last thing I'm going to go with is this. Yeah, spray gas on you. That's just, there's got to be a better way than that pressurizing it, because I got gas on me there. Also, if you tighten it down a little too hard, it is very hard to get loose. I'd take a screwdriver once to put it in there and pry her open. So yeah, I recommend it. If you're looking for a weed eater that's heavy duty and can do a lot of work, but not brush cutting, get the straight R if you're going to put a brush head on it, because this is not what you're looking for. I do believe the R also comes with the double handle, which makes more sense for brush cutting over just string trimming. It gives you more control over it. So yeah, the Stihl FS111RX. That'll do it for this video. If you enjoyed it, hit the like button, subscribe, stay tuned for more, because we will be doing more stuff like this, reviews on equipment in the future as I buy them. So maybe not for a while. I spent quite a bit of money between my zero turn and the push mower and this. I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching and have a great day.